Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thought I'd do an update video for everyone since a couple of my off-season projects are taking a little bit longer than I expected. We'll jump over at the SS first and get a bit of a rundown on that. So we figured out the problem with this. It was a trunnion on one of the rockers. The needle roller bearing had decided it wanted to be in a million pieces. So we replaced them with some bronze bushed trunnion kit. So I'll show you that now. It's a pretty simple job to do on these cars. It does involve going through and pulling out all your rockers, but you know, we got that done. So here's that. And then after we did the rockers, we decided we'll drop the oil pan because we just wanted to make sure that anything that fell out into the sump we could clean out. And in the process of doing that, we found the tensioner for the timing chain had broken, which was a lot of fun. So we had to pull the front of the motor off, or the timing cover off, to fix that. In the process of pulling the timing cover off to fix that, we discovered the back of the water pump's been leaking. If you ask me, it's pretty crap design. It's a pressed steel plate into a aluminium housing, so we tried to get a new one of them. That water pump is actually an LSA water pump. I'm guessing they did that because they've got the fast EFI manifold with the 103mm throttle body in it. Normally the standard SS radiator intakes here. So the upper radiator hose attaches over here. The LSA one attaches over here. So we've had to send that back. We're waiting on the other pump to come back. The other problem is when you throw in a 2010 SS, it gives you 3 different water pump options. 2 of them are like, one's like that, and 2 of them are the different style. So that's been a lot of fun. We're just waiting for that to come back. I also threw in the O2, my Innovate dual wideband gauge into the gauge cluster up here. So we're going to try and do some O2 monitoring. There's a serial output cable here which we can take into to a serial to USB converter, take that into the Innovate LM programmer software, out of that software into VCM scanner as a O2 input, and then we can actually log the air-fuel ratio input along with all the other car data. So we were able to check the tune and stuff on that. On to the 347 Mazda. So I've redone the steering in this car. Probably wondering why I've redo the steering. So it used to lock, or used to bind up going over bumps. Sorry, it used to bind up and then you'd go over a bump and it would unbind. So there was, and I had 2 intermediate shafts with a support bearing on it. It wasn't a real great setup. So I've switched to a KE70 Corolla steering rack over the old 323 rack. So physically the worm drive assembly on the gearbox on the steering rack is a lot smaller. It's actually, it's like 5mm overall narrower than the 323 rack, which works out better. It brings the ball joint on the steering rack back in line with the control arm pivot. Doesn't look like there's a lot of clearance in here, but there is clearance around that starter motor for that steering shaft. Because I redid the steering shaft, I had to redo the entire driver's side bank of the exhaust, which is an added bonus really, because that means I now have more even runner flow for cylinder 3 and 4 compared to cylinder 1 and 2, which is always a good thing. You probably can't see much. We'll jump up the top. So cylinder 3 snakes in under cylinder 4, cylinder 4 snakes in and out and around the intermediate shaft, and cylinder 1 and 2 travel very similar to how they used to anyway, so not much difference there. Oh, sorry, cylinder 2 is very different. No longer does it come over the top and down the back. It goes underneath with all the rest of them. And that meant I ditched the whole factory steering column. So I bought this 3/4 steering shaft, come with a 3/4 48 spline on both ends. And then I've fitted I did it quick release steering wheel hub, and I have new buttons, a new button plate to put my trans brake button just a bit closer to my thumb. I've got some other stuff coming from the interior. I have to rewire all the buttons, but I've got to do some rewiring anyway. Whoop. It's just standing up here on my hoist. Ugh. And you probably remember I mentioned getting a set of street wheels. There you go. Set of Mazda 3 17-inch alloys. They look pretty good actually. Pretty happy with how that turned out. So I just got to do a bit of spacing and stuff. They're just to cruise around on. They're not to do anything with. So I don't plan on cruising down highways with them. Obviously this car's not registered. It's not engineered. It'll never be on the road. See the back wheels off, so the rear. Anyway, that's it for all my mumbling in this video. Keep it shiny side up off the walls, and I'll see you trackside, hopefully, if I get this finished. See yous.